I know I'm quite late to the party, but let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. The variant I have here is the green variant. There are other variants, but looking at the fact that last year Samsung surprised us with an amazing device, I really wasn't expecting much from the Galaxy S23 Ultra, mainly some minimal incremental upgrades. But this year, they went ahead to surprise us again, and I'm really impressed. Some people claim that the device's design is not much of a difference comparing it to the S22 Ultra, but I think there are some differences. The aluminium build around the device, which is made or coming from Armor Aluminium, is flat. Unlike the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, which has a curved edge, this Galaxy S23 Ultra has a curved display that curves into the flat aluminium frame. And the presence of the flat aluminium frame gives it grip for you to feel comfortable holding it and adds that premium feel for a premium flagship device. Also, another change on the design includes the fact that the camera design here are a bit larger and have an incremental upgrade in height on the device. Protection on this device in terms of build is coming from Gorilla Glass, and this is the Gorilla Glass Victus 2, which is for both the front and the back. It does have a little bit of problem in terms of having fingerprint smudges all over it. So I will advise that you get the silicone case for it, which is what I use on my device. But because I'm making a review of the device, I will be leaving that out so you can admire this beautiful bad boy. At the bottom of the device is where you'd find the slot for the S Pen and the S Pen itself, the almighty S Pen. I'll be getting into that in a minute. Then you can find a speaker grill. This device actually has two microphone ports at the bottom, and I'll be going more into that when I get to the camera section of this device, because there's some amazing features Samsung puts in the pro video section that you should know about, especially if you're a content creator. Samsung also gives you the option to use two nano SIM cards without the ability to expand your storage. So this device is coming with a baseline storage of 256 gigabytes and up to 1 terabyte. At the top, there's just the antenna band and then one microphone port as well. So 3 microphone ports in general. Samsung is known for being the best at one specific thing on their devices, and that is the fact that they always make sure they're producing one of the best displays on their devices, and that includes this amazing device. The Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra comes with a dynamic 2x AMOLED display, which is capped at 1440p. This display comes with 120 Hz, which is adaptive, so it's toggles from 0 to 120 Hz depending on the activity going on. So let's say you're playing games and it's required to bump it up to over 60 Hz, then it automatically switches it to that section. But if you're not into high refresh rate, you can toggle that option off. They give you the 60 Hz option as well so that you can put it there. Mine is actually there at the moment, but anytime I set myself to play games, I make sure I toggle the 120 Hz on there. If you're streaming content like watching videos on YouTube, Netflix, or any streaming platform, it's just great and it's the best. This device has support for HDR10+, which means content consumption on this device is the best. Heck, if you have 2 or 3 of this device, you can literally start a watch party and you wouldn't even need a big TV or a big screen for it because the display is just amazing. I've watched a couple of reviews online and people aren't emphasizing enough on the speakers of this device. They are so great. These stereo speakers are just mind-blowing. They provide one of the best, crisp, and clearest sound I've ever gotten from any device.
Right, I know you disagree. You're trying to get both the consumer to be aware of it and the barista to also be aware of it. The fact that you just focused on one feature of what could be a bigger solution, I have a real problem.
Of course, the S22 Ultra's sound from the speakers was great, but this has a sweet touch to it that makes it way superior than the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Now, I must add that if you have 2 of these devices, you could start a party in the house without having to worry about a big speaker or a sound system. This year, Samsung decided to bump things up and not make any Exynos variant for the Galaxy S23 lineup. So from the S23, S23 Plus, and the S23 Ultra, they all have Qualcomm's chipset, which is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 2. Now, it didn't stop there. They went ahead to make a customized version for Galaxy. So it's basically the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 2 for Galaxy. Now, what that means is optimization on this device is top notch. Performance is great. It beats everything and cuts through stressful tasks like it was butter. I've been gaming on this device for longer hours and I barely even get the device warm up. Of course, for hours long, I do realize that the device heats up a little bit, not too much. It's just quite subtle warmth I feel when holding the device for a longer hour. But sometimes I even think it's because my hands have been there at that particular point for a longer hour, so it then has to generate or dissipate heat, which is a normal thing in science. Because of course, Samsung puts in the best cooling system ever in any smartphone. And this, if you're somebody who is into performance and is keen about playing games for longer hours, or even doing something creatively for longer hours, like editing videos or doing any task that is stressful and you might have doubts, the Galaxy S23 Ultra will just slice through it like butter. I've been playing Call of Duty Mobile at max graphics, although if you switch it to Ultra, the other FPS goes back an option lesser because you can't actually put them together, but it's still great and I enjoy gaming on this device a lot. If you're looking for a gaming device, the Galaxy S23 Ultra is your best bet. Still on performance, my variant comes with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of internal storage, which is okay for me. There are other variants which include 8 gigs of RAM and 512 gigabytes of internal storage, 8 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of internal storage, and a whooping 12 gigs of RAM and 512 or 1 terabyte of internal storage. Right out of the box, you are getting Android 13 with One UI 5.1, which comes packed with a lot of features. I've decided to make a separate video in terms of software to go through most of the nitty-gritties this software has. We know One UI is the best out there, so there's no need to stress on that. Okay, let's talk about the batteries on this device before we talk about the cameras, because the batteries on here has impressed me so much. I mean, I'll be sharing screenshots of my usage since I got the device, and you should see how impressive it is. I could go 12 hours on this device with just 1 hour of screen off time and the battery would still be around 9%, 8%-ish. This is mad. So you can even travel from here to Kumasi without having to worry about charging your device if you got it from 0 to 100%. Talking about 0 to 100%, Samsung has made support for 45 watt fast charging, wired, not wireless, and has a wireless 25 watt fast charging capability. So you could literally charge your device from 0 to 100% in an hour or less if you're using the 45 watt fast charger, and charge from 0 to 100% if you're using a 25 watt charger in about 1 hour and 26 minutes. If you're not like me, who is a heavy user and is constantly on their smartphone, then you're good to go to use this device for more hours or even more days than expected. Because I do a lot to my device. I game, I text, I'm responding to comments and doing other stuff on this device, so I do stress it a lot, but it still takes me through the day for 12, sometimes 16 hours, and this is crazy. I really love the battery power on here. Let's talk about the cameras. Now, this is where Samsung impressed me the most. I mean, they have impressed me from the start till now, and one amazing part about this is how stabilization works on here. Like Kagan would say, Samsung, what did you add to your stew? Because stabilization on here is mad. I can't even process it because this doesn't even have any gimbal image stabilization process. It's just optical image stabilization and it's super steady. I really love what the cameras have to offer on here. Image quality in terms of portrait shots are just great, especially if you're taking portrait in x3 mode, which is what I would mostly ask you to do. It gives you that background separation and bokeh because, of course, we are working with a 200 megapixel sensor. Of course, I do know how megapixels don't matter, but Samsung on here with software introduction are just killing the game in terms of camera quality and the images that come out of it. I could say a lot about the cameras and I might not end this video because, of course, this cameras also, not forgetting, shoot video for up to 8K at 30 FPS. And we have a 200 megapixel main sensor, like I've said earlier. There is a 10 megapixel periscope telephoto lens, a 10 megapixel telephoto lens, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle lens for ultra wide shots. There is also a 12 megapixel front facing camera which takes great shots, and that proves the theory that so many megapixels doesn't really matter. You just need a small, and with the help of software introduction, you could get the best out of it, because this right here is a selfie from the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Before I end the video, here are a few takeaways to note. Because this comes with 2 SIM cards, Samsung also gives you the addition to use an eSIM. So those of you who would like to use an eSIM, that option is there as well. Secondly, I made mention that there are 2 or 3 microphones on this device, with 2 down there, and these actually help if you're taking videos. So most of the time in pro video mode, with the help of the 3 microphones, you are able to record audio with either the front, the rear, or Omni. So depending on which particular angle you want to record the audio from, this would be doing that for you as well. And that is probably why they had to incorporate 2 or 3 microphones on this device. The S Pen is the best out there, guys. It's just great, and it offers a lot. I mean, the S Pen has been there for some time now, and we know how good it is. It just gets the job done, and it's great. Just make sure to not forget when you pull it out to put it back in, because of course, that's what she said. I'm DELPPY. This has been my full review for the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. I know that I could have possibly not covered everything on this device. So in case there's anything you'd want me to cover in my next and subsequent video, do make sure to leave them in the comment section. And as always, we will talk more, Charlie.